Welcome, welcome, everyone. If you're here for the first time, very special, warm welcome. These are our Monday, our daily meditations. Sorry, it's very early, very early hours. Yeah, people coming in. Okay, good. Thanks, Laura, Heidi, Rena. Okay, good. So here we are, gathering together in our Dharma Hall for another Dharma session this week with Christopher Titmuss, who's mostly known as the senior most Dharma teacher in the West. And we are exploring, in a nutshell, impermanence, navigating through changing. And Christopher has added a little of his personal touch. So we'll be knocking at heaven's door gently and on step by step every day of the week. So we'll be here for the next hour or so. Christopher will guide us through Dharma talk, and then a guided practice, a silent practice. And finally, there might be some time for questions. If you need to ask some questions, you can use the chat. If you do that, please type question in capital letters so we know that you're asking a question opposed to all the comments, and they are welcome to, but just to make it clear. And you can also come on screen if that is your wish to interact with Christopher. For that, you can use the little virtual hand on the bottom of your screen. Click on that, and I'll make my best to bring you on. And of course, before I leave the stage to Christopher, just want to mention again, like every day, the fact that we are running all this based on the Buddhist principle of dana, generosity, way that we can interweave human activity in a sense of a wide sharing instead of doing things with a more money-framed kind of setting. We also need the funds, otherwise we wouldn't be asking for your generosity, because we need to run the platform with all the tech, with all the people, with all the stuff that involves organizing something like this. But we really wish it to be a hard work and an ethical, as much as possible, an ethical kind of procedure. So we don't have any other income apart from your generosity, from your donations. And if your heart speaks that way, well, please feel free to donate. I'll put the link, and you can use it at your own discretion. Doesn't matter if it's a big amount, small amount, if it's one-off, if it's a regular. It really matters the fact that you're here, the fact that if you donate with your heart, with a real sense of commitment to the community, to the whole process. And if you can't donate, it's all good as well. That's why we're here, to support each other. Okay, that'll be all. I see that Clive and Lizzie are off to Gaia House. So this is your last morning with us. Please enjoy it fully and have, shall I say, a blast at Gaia House. Anyway, enjoy it fully. Thank you all, and I'll leave the place to Christopher.
So a very good morning to each and every one of you. For those of you who are in the AM period, and for those for whom another part of the world, good evening. And for those of you in perhaps North America area, a good middle of the night to you. Thank you for getting up. It is about waking up after all. So we have the theme of impermanence, of change, of that which arises, stays and passes. But before we begin this morning, let's have the usual quiet minute together to give opportunity for some stillness and silence of being, which contributes to the receptivity, both for the listener and in fact as equally for the speaker. So in this 60-minute session that we have, it falls into three areas. Firstly, a short talk, 15 minutes or so, followed by a guided meditation for around 25 minutes on the theme. And then finally, if you have any questions, there is the chat column with the word question at the beginning, enabling it to make it easier for me to find there. I'll just give a brief summary from yesterday. In the exploration of that, looking at it more carefully, what impermanence is a general overview, meaning to be exceptionally mindful, clear, and aware on what arises, what stays, and what passes. The welcome sometimes, the unwelcome, and somewhere in between, applying to what arises, stays, and passes. We see in the experience of this, it is a rather dynamic process unfolding itself through this field of experience. And in the relationship to that, very easily, we can kind of exaggerate its significance. And what I mean by that, it can become viewed as the reality of life. It is not. The ultimate truth of life, it is not. And as the Buddha used the word lakkhana, it is a characteristic, important key word here, of existence. So not exaggerating it into some great truth, it is a characteristic of existence. And in this characteristic of existence, that there is something unsatisfactory about it, in that we cannot hold on to that which we enjoy and appreciate. We are faced with that which we do not enjoy and do not appreciate as well there. And in that unsatisfactoriness of things changing backwards and forwards day by day, there's something quite impersonal, meaning that the self doesn't have a great deal of choice with all of this. For the meditator, for the one who is giving some dedication to seeing what arises, stays, and passes. In my view, it's not enough to say, oh, I am mindful of impermanence. One can be. It will contribute. It will be a support there. But the key reminder, as mentioned yesterday, is because of unfolding change going on day by day. Just look in the mirror if you forget all the changes that are going on in our features. It is a reminder that no particular presentation in the characteristic of existence is worth clinging or holding on to. Teachings are around liberation, around non-clinging, non-holding, so that we can be free amidst the rhythm and flow of life. That's what the teachings are about, not just seeing impermanence. They are just a characteristic of existence. I hope you get the point. And meditate on it, reflect on it, dwell on it, see the significance of it, of the characteristics of existence. They are not the problem we imagine them to be. All right. This morning with you, we are going to look at what arises. So this Walla, in speaking to you, has a thread, a theme. What helps to ground this, to put it directly into first-hand experience, is if you have a reference, it's less theoretical, it sounds less abstract. So, pardon me, in this case, if there's any area in your life currently which is arising and is important to you, anything in your life which is arising and it's important to you. And it could be the generalities: work, pleasure, relationship, something fresh and new you welcome, something that suddenly you know about. It's now arising quite a lot in your thinking. It's unwelcome and unwanted. So we are focusing on what arises. And in the focusing of what arises, we are clear. It may not be completely new. So the response could be, if you've got a focus, a specific in mind, it's helpful here. It could be something which is re-arising. Dharma language, it's called karma. It's re-arising. It's being reborn. And these teachings are about the ending of rebirth, the ending of the rebirth of ego, of the problematic phenomena of the self, of I, me, and my. This is the meaning of the ending of rebirth. So is anything re-arising? or anything arising which is quite new for you. With what is arising, if it's problematic and it's affecting you, your health, your state of mind, your relationship with others, your relationship with self, it's very unlikely it's the first time. It's reborn. It was there in the past and it's now landed in the present. That landing in the present there, in a way, is a very tangible, important reminder. Give this attention. Let me get some water. Throat needs a little attention. If you ignore, this is raw Dharma teaching this morning, I can feel it. If you ignore it, it will arise. You'll deal with it. You'll get on with it. You'll get lost in it. It will fade. Perhaps you'll forget about it. Something else will take your attention. But like night follows day, it will arise. It will re-arise. It will be reborn. It will come back. And the reason it will come back, because you ignored it. And you, pardon me, struggled through it. So exploration is something, in this case, problematic, which is re-arising, what seems like the first time. What are the changes that will contribute to making a difference? So it dissolves. It's disempowered. And that's where the seeing of the changes is one factor. Throat's itchy this morning. The seeing of the changes is one factor, and the reflection is another. Sometimes for the meditators, for those of you who are meditators, and even not, we get tired of too much thinking. Understand? And become very thinking is very habitual. It's re-arising. If you start thinking about it, what's arising, which is problematic, and some skillful reflection, there will need to be some preparation for the skillful reflection. Don't deceive yourself in thinking about it will resolve it. Not a chance. Something has to come in between. We might call it meditation. We might call it just reducing the thinking. It could be the long walk. It could be to dance. It could be to engage with total attention to some activity, from the washing up to, if you have the privilege of a garden, to the gardening, to formal meditation, to movement, to yoga and Tai Chi or whatever, so that generates a different kind of energy, reduces a lot of the thinking, provides some more for you. That space will contribute to more calmness. From the calmness, you can then begin to reflect. Is what is in the attitude, in the way of looking at this current feature or characteristic which is problematic for me. So, one is there's something problematic. Two is not easy, but important to find some calm, clarity. So you're not feeding lots of thinking. When you find the calm and clarity, your next stage and step is to give and ask what will, in some way or other, what is a different way of looking at this. That may require a communication with another, a person that you trust, or a friend who can contribute to keeping you on track for a fresh way of looking. One of the issues or problems is when we kind of see the impermanence of it, meaning it arose, it stayed for a while, it passed, but it only went quiet in the mind, quiet in the deep of the mind, that we don't feel like reflecting on anything. Oh, I've just been through this storm, went on for hours, days, or whatever. So glad to finally feel I'm out of it. One's not out of it. It's gone quiet. Something else is happening. You're moving on from. Oh, I've seen the impermanence of it. Oh, no, you haven't. So one's seen a temporary absence of. And so quite often we don't feel like reflecting. We don't feel like asking ourselves, what's the changes that are required to have some clarity and insight? So if it does re-arise, I've got some tools in my view, my attitude, and my relationship to, which is making a shift. And the shift is this is the view, the problematic view. This is such a problem in my life. I'm getting overwhelmed by it. I have a heavy heart over it. It's making me so confused. It's really stressing me out. My life is so busy. All of this is the conviction in this view, which is parallel to putting wood on the fire. And you think it's going to go out this way. Hopeless, it's clueless. It's the change in the view. So each time you give authority to the problematic, even if it's the greatest life health issue a human being could have, even if it's a loss of everything that you've loved and believed in and supported and given your life to, or whatever, apart from all the other lesser things in life, it's your view. Your view is the key to your waking up, to your change. What is the view which takes out the transference of something problematic over your life? What is the view that takes the power out of the event? That's the question, or something similar there. Finally, how am I doing for time? Oh my God, it's running by. With the rising of that which is welcome, enjoy, you feel creative, you feel passionate, you feel alive, you experience receptivity. There's a sense of stillness and calm and clarity, wonderful, 5-star, precious, etc. Stay with it. Drop everything else. Just experience that rhythm, that outburst of insight, of initiative, of vision, and explore it. It's a sign of the being waking up. Don't dismiss it. Oh, it's impermanent. Oh, it won't last. Oh, it will go away. This is the whole point. It is arising and it stays. And when we're not clinging to it, though it passes, there is still the receptivity, which in fresh ways it can re-emerge again, and we are free to experience that love, that compassion, that sudden fresh awarenesses again, because we're not clinging. So let's explore the unwelcome, the unwanted, the unexpected. Let's explore that which is welcome and appreciated and enjoyed. Enough. Let's have the quiet minute together, and then I'll offer a guided meditation on the theme with some time as well for an exploration through your chat, through the questions. Okay, quiet minute first. All right, sip of the water. If you have any dreams, by the way, and there is water in the dreams, it's raining, the lake, the sea, or whatever, probability is about the feeling, emotional life. So the throat's a bit dry, that's earth element. Morning glass of water, water element. The water element goes to the throat, the dry, and nourishes the throat. Dreams are about the feeling life. What needs to be nourished? Might be a question after such a dream. All right, guided meditation. Let's sit in the magnificence of the sitting posture. Sitting rather tall. If you're in the chair, like myself, 2 feet firmly on the ground. Not one leg dangling hopelessly over the top of the other. being mindful of the stillness of the posture. Sitting with rather an expansive awareness. And in this meditation together, around 20 minutes altogether, bringing in to the awareness the recognition of space. One of the great great elements. Experience the space around you. The space above your head. The space all around the body. Space is a key element, a key factor in preparation for clarity and insight and wisdom. So when our mind is full up with trivia, full up with chatter, full up with stress, full up with busyness, full up with anger and blame, full up with giving oneself a hard time. It's another way of saying there's no space. Now we're mid space. The space that allows the light to touch our eyeballs, whether the eyelids are up or down. There is the space that allows the words of the speaker to pass through the space, and the space in the ears allows the hearing. If the ears were blocked with wax, with resistance, hearing would be challenging. There is the space which allows the air element to pass up through the nostrils, down into the lungs, to confirm the conscious living experience. There is the space which allows us to put food and drink into the mouth. There is the space which enables the elements to touch upon the body. The natural world interacting with, bringing change, bringing aging, bringing receptivity, alertness, warmth or coldness, comfort or trauma. There is the space which allows the bladder to empty itself when we take a piss. There is the space which allows the unwanted, unneeded, digested food, drink to pass through the body. We sit or squat on the toilet. There's the space that our heart-mind needs in order to be receptive to clarity, to insight, to wisdom. So we are receptive to the arising of space, the indispensable feature in seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, peeing, toileting. To make a contribution to finding space in our inner life. The space we're not under pressure of excessive thinking. The space when not seizing onto reactive, pressured thoughts. The space we can appreciate between thoughts. The space to have the capacity to accommodate any kind of thinking without seizing and grasping onto it. The space which makes clear at times this is the arising of I, of ego, of me, of my, of mine. This is the space which says, this is the non-arising of I, of me, of my, of mine. So there is the seeing clearly of the arising of self. In its varied presentations, perhaps called problematic state of mind, perhaps called identity, called role, called view. And being mindful and clear of the times of non-arising of self, of seizing upon identity, of role, of view. So that we can respond through the space without egotism, without selfishness, without a self which is holding and clinging. Remaining a minute or two in the silence, in the space. Okay, lovely. Thank you. We have around 10 minutes. Just going to put on the specs for clearer seeing, kind of as a fact and a bit of a metaphor too, I would say. So if there, I'll just look at the questions as they appear on the screen here. Reflections. Hello, Titmuss. Yesterday, when you said that relationships are too impermanent, you've killed all my childhood dreams. What for we should keep on living? It's a nice point. I think I understand a little bit. There is a tendency to have a rather dour means grim look in terms of impermanence. I don't mind killing people's childhood dreams. I think a lot of them are quite unrealistic. But what I would say with response to the question, one can't live unless one sees impermanence, unless one sees change, unless one is in harmony with the flows of existence. One can't live. One is stuck, trapped, spiritually dead. Don't live like that. I deceived myself repeatedly in that the supposedly, I'm reading without the glasses here, that you find other book, such as this is not worth clinging to. It is impersonal anyway. When everything is unsatisfactory, it did not disempower anything and eventually led to more feeling of being stuck. Smart, Buddhisti or not, phrases are easily weaponized to brush an experience away. It's important point here, worth reading for those of you in the Dharma practices there. Unfortunately, rhetoric. It becomes a rhetoric. So some examples being used, not worth clinging to. Oh, it's impermanent. Everything's unsatisfactory. It becomes a kind of learnt language in the thought. And then that begins, as is pointed out, to shape a view. The view carries a slight or not despairing tone about it. Instead of being useful, it has the precise opposite. To use the metaphor again, puts wood on the fire. It generates a kind of reactive attitude. We want power, and power is the quiet authority. Situations are changing in the field of human experiences. Let me give real interest to this which is unfolding. There's some adventure about it. Wow, this is what life is presented to us. This is a real characteristic of existence. Let me get closer to it, so to speak, there. So it's your motivation, your conviction that there is something authenticity about being so close to life. There's a lot of interest in holding on to anything because one doesn't want to be detached from life, which is what holding does. And therefore the relationship is passion, it's conviction, it's learning, it's challenge. And that's our priority. Wolfgang, there's a little bit news about some people. Let me see if there's other questions here. So one person comments, as John O'Donoghue, lovely poet from Ireland, I think he passed from this world some years ago, if I remember. I would love to live like a river flows, carried by the surprise of its own unfolding. Cool. Water element. I would love to live like a river flows, carried by the surprise of its own unfolding. It's a wish. We're not really into such wishes. It's a lovely wish. I would like you to say, I live like a river flows, carried by the surprise of its own unfolding. That's what the teachings are about. That's the difference. But thank you to the poets. All right. God, it's only 2 minutes left. The constructed self clings to its fabricated sense of time. Important this. The constructed self clings to its fabricated sense of time, believing in its own ownership. My time. I had time too. I have time. I will, or whatever. And pushes things away that don't possess the time that the self owns. This notion needs a lot of refining. It came through towards the end of that meditation very clearly. Thank you. So just to add as I do with this, there is a sense of I. And we say, I say, I have some time with you. And that time is nearly up. We started 59 minutes ago. We've got a minute or two left. So the possessive easily comes in. I, self, have possessive time with you. I had this time. There is this moment, and there is this time which is left. Challenge, therefore, is there another way of looking which is not so possessive about time? And therefore, in less possessiveness, there is the opportunity, and this is the best here, to experience time less. So the self bound up with what did arise, is arising, or will arise. The self is very much tied up with that, as the good writer just said there. When we're not tied up with that, we can experience see timeless, which gives an ease with being with what was, what is, and what will or might be. That is the, in everyday language, the end of our time together. But the end of time is the timeless. So thank you very much. Let's have the quiet minute together. And just a small reminder, George, as he does each morning, he gives all of us a spirit in which Sangha Live offers these teachings. Is it making a charge per person time? And it's being supported for the past 10 years, as we heard yesterday, do continue to give support. Teachings and practices are urgently needed in our lives. Thank you. Lots of love to you all, and all being well, we'll see you in the morning, or middle of the night, or evening. Namaste. Okay, thank you.